didn't realize
Okay,
it
hello
was like
everyone.
a
Welcome back to Coach's Corner. It is Thursday, 6:15 p.m. I'm pissed off. Let's begin. Who has the first question?
you
Well then,
might as well just
wait,
let you go.
waiting
Okay,
for the mood
macros or meal plan, which do you like better?
For
Who,
ourselves or
who
for clients?
I don't know, it didn't specify. This was actually Sam's question. I think we
I
can we can go over both.
meal plans, and if I trust somebody well enough and we need to like transition into macros, if they have like a busy travel schedule coming up or something, then I'll do macros. But personally, I like set meals first until we build that trust relationship, and then I have we'll do macros if the if the situation fits.
Yeah, I would say I'm the exact opposite. I'm macros first until I get somebody to a place where they can stick to a diet, right? Or adhere to some consistency as it relates to their nutrition. So it allows them to pick from a larger group of food at different times, different things, you know what I mean? And give them a little bit more variety and flexibility. So it allows them to build good habits and build good behaviors and a good connection with their food before we narrow it down so specifically. And then I would say, even for myself, I'm a bigger fan of macros. I think for me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys could agree. Like, I don't need anybody to tell me like chicken breast versus, beef or, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I know how to maneuver that stuff. I know what foods are good, what foods are not good. So for me, I'm always going to prefer macros and being able to set my day up the way that I want to set it up in terms of the foods that I enjoy and not kind of feel like, I don't know,
Yeah, I mean,
stuck to one specific thing over and over again.
one of the biggest things too I do ask is, provided of course there's no like severe digestion issues from the get-go, is like on my intake form, ask what foods would you really love to see, so we create that flexibility, right? So like someone could list me like 15 foods and I'll make sure, as long as I have all the macros lined up and all that, like I'll give the meal options or what. But personally, like I said, I just like that structured meal plan, even with their options and all in there, so they're not setting it up. But what you're saying too, Tim, makes sense, of course. Like,
Well, I also like it. It's something to think about. Man, I like the macro concept because it gives us the opportunity where it's like we use one system for tracking macros, Chronometer. That's it. That's
yeah,
all we let clients use, right? It's Chronometer. So now you give me every week your Chronometer username and password, and I log into your Chronometer to make sure that you're eating from the food list that we give you, that you're hitting your macros, and that you're actually doing it consistently. Because the opposite way around that, if I'm handing somebody a meal plan, I'm relying on them to check in and tell me what they did or didn't do. I can't visually see what they did. So if you tell me you're 100% over and over and over again, it's like we have to get to that point where you're not getting results. And then we have to have that weird back and forth. Whereas if I'm logging into your Chronometer and you're not doing the things you're supposed to do, it's as visible as day.
Yeah, no, of
Yeah.
course. I have two people right now on macros. The one guy has a 3-month heavy work span, and we changed his whole meal plan to macros. And we set him up on Chronometer, and I told him like, hey, I just need your password and username so I can check. But like that relationship's already been established, like where I know the guy knows the habits are there and all that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
they both, the end of the day, if your coach is good, either one you can make work,
I obviously, you guys know I'm same team as Tim, team macros for the most part for most people, because it does allow a lot. It allows consistency, like over time too, and just more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Adherence.
Not adherence. Oh my God. Like long-term results. It's a more like longevity. Like when a client is able to learn about their food and learn about portions, micronutrients, fiber, whatever, they can then ditch the tracker, ditch the food scale, because they know what it looks like, as opposed to me just straight up telling them have this and that, and they're like, all right, whatever. It forces them to learn about their food as well.
Justin.
Yeah, I think it's person dependent, like client dependent. Obviously if you have like a complete beginner that doesn't know anything about anything with regards to nutrition, like I'm hesitant to do macros for somebody like that, because I mean they're gonna screw it up. But I whenever I do a meal plan for pretty much all my clients, I give a handful of options, right? So it's not just, chicken and rice meal two and, beef and potatoes meal three. Like I'll give a set option for the carb source, a set option for the protein source, And what I'm doing on the back end is just tracking the macros, making sure that it's relatively the same. Um, but yeah, I think the benefit for macros is a lot of people, it's just like more sustainable for them to feel like they have variety and they can work in the things that they like. Me personally, I don't want to think about macros at all. Like, just give me a meal plan and I want to be a robot, eat the same shit 7 days a week, right?
Got the next question.
I
Sorry.
do. This one's fun. Did Tim fix the hole in his sock? Sally T asked this and he spelled hole wrong. He spelled it WHOLE. So I need to call him out because that is absolutely atrocious and disgusting. But Tim,
Well,
did
what
you
a
fix
douchebag.
did you
We don't
fix
answer
the
questions
hole?
for douchebags.
Did you fix the hole in your sock?
Tell him to learn how to spell, and then he can ask me the question.
You're right. You're right.
And there was no hole in my sock. It was bleached at the bottom. Or there was something going on at the bottom. Look, this one got it too.
Oh no, he's gonna pick up his foot and break his knee.
Oh yeah. See, it's not my foot. That's the sock. It's just different colored. I
Really?
don't know why
It's
these socks do that. Ah, fuck. I don't know
Does
why these
anybody
socks
else
do that.
ever
Oh
get
my god.
inappropriate questions, or am I the only one?
You're the only one.
If I ever put up that like NGL link thing, they're all inappropriate.
I
That's what I
get
did.
0.
I got an inappropriate question.
I jerk off 4 times a day. Is that hurting my gains?
No,
You do?
It's making your gains even better.
You jerk
That's
off
what the
4
question.
times a
That's
day,
what
Tim?
that's what the question is in the thing.
Oh, dude, I was about to say, what the fuck?
That's
Kinda
literally
su-
what the question
Kind of
is.
super test are you on?
Oh, I see it.
Fuck. So wait,
Yeah.
oh yeah, okay, so we're done with that one, right? That wasn't a real question, but yeah. For my first question, and this is somebody in the thing now, besides sleep and time off, what else can we do to help with recovery of the CNS, central nervous system,
Eat
for you
more,
dullards?
eat more food.
I would say so. One thing, I have no idea if there's any like evidence behind this or not, but one thing that I've noticed, like over time, as I've trained, I've always been strong, right? I fucking deadlifted 5 plates when I was like 17 and natural. So when I look back at how I used to train, relatively the same weight as I do now, like let's say 3 years ago, I could tell there was so much more strain on my central nervous system to actually lift that weight. The form wasn't as good, the tempo was a lot quicker. And I would be so fucking spent after those sets because I was literally using everything to lift the weight. Now, fast forward to now, I'm probably 30, 40 pounds heavier, lifting the same amount of weight, if not even more. But there's way less stress on my central nervous system because I've learned to like own the weight, control the weight, slow down the tempo. And I've noticed like doing that has definitely caused like it's been less taxing on my CNS. So the point I'm trying to make is if you're going through a period where you feel like you're spent and maybe it's time to do a deload, but also um, kind of reevaluate your form, right? Try to make 10, 20% less harder and, be more isolation focused with the movement and then, gradually increase your weight.
Yeah, I think to that point, the reality behind like that it's like systemic fatigue that builds up, right? Like it's the fatigue that builds up within that central nervous system eventually creates systemic fatigue. That's going to be something that's going to come from stress in general, right? And physical stress is a stress, but then there's stressors of life and all these different things that are impacting it, right? So it's like minimizing your overall stress load is definitely something that's going to help reduce the fatigue or improve that central nervous system recovery. And you could do that through multiple different ways of life. But again, physical stress is probably the easiest thing for most of us to govern, right? Like, we 3 of us here have kids. One of us has a dog. So, the bottom line is like, we can't get rid of these things. Like there's certain things within, work, there's certain things within life we can't get rid of, right? The one thing that we can manipulate a lot easier is the training. So as much as it might not be the thing that anybody wants to hear, that training is going to be the main vehicle there as far as reducing that CNS fatigue. The reality is once you've built that fatigue, right, the number one thing that you're going to be able to do to be able to offset that is either reduce training volume, like Matt said, look at the way that you're training, maybe, or just take time off is really what it comes down to. I wish there was something else. There are things that you could add in from time to time, like a massage, some sort of body work like that, things of this nature. But are they going to offload CNS fatigue as well as taking a day off? No, definitely not.
No,
Not even
I think
close.
if anything, the deep tissue work we get actually is stressing the nervous system out even more.
It could depends on how deep the work is.
Well,
Like I
that's
think
what
for
I'm
the most
saying.
part,
Like what we
yeah,
get done, dude, is like you
yeah,
have to recover from that.
yeah,
You
yeah. That's
know,
true.
like cupping
Yeah,
and all that. Like you need to recover from all that shit. Graston tools, you
yeah,
know, like that's all stimulation to the nervous system too. That like a lot of people don't really keep in mind.
yeah. It's like if you want to get a massage where you're going to be recovering, it's like
Yeah,
go to Hand
massage
and
envy.
Stone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
massage envy. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and
yeah.
let that person like fucking rub you down, and it sounds
Yeah, dude, because after
good, right?
fucking
Yeah.
Umar takes his goddamn elbow out of my quads, it feels like I just got done like a working set of fucking hack squats.
Well, that's because you broke down muscle tissue. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah,
yeah,
to your point. Yeah, it's literally could be the same exact thing if you're going that hard. But
yeah,
yeah,
dude.
I think time off is going to be the biggest factor
Yeah,
there.
I agree. And sleep,
Unfortunately,
both. It
yeah.
just is what it is.
Yeah, sleep is going to be the big one too. I think a lot of people underestimate that, where it's like
So
everybody's like, I
much
get good sleep, I get 6 to 7 hours. It's like,
doesn't
yeah, six
matter.
to seven hours isn't going to be enough in some cases. It's not.
Also, how good are you sleeping?
That's a big thing. Yeah.
How
When are
good?
you sleeping? Is
Yeah.
that time frame off where you're going to bed at 1 a.m. and waking up the next day at fucking 10? You could probably improve that recovery by going to bed a little bit earlier, waking up a little bit earlier, and having a better set
I
time.
tell everybody too, like that, Tim, like the set time, but also too, like a good routine. Get off the
Yeah.
phone, get off social media. Social media is such an anxiety triggering thing that it's so like embedded in us as humans that we don't even realize. Like you see one thing that sets your anxiety off, you're like, you can be done. You're not going to bed, you know? So like
Yeah.
get off social media, get off the TV, shut the video games down, no screen time, and just a cool, dark room.
Yep.
All right, who's next?
All right.
Tim?
Well,
How
I
many
just
did you
kept
get,
throwing
Tim?
out. Go ahead. I got like four more. I think I got like
Matt, you want to ask one?
5 or 6.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Is Milf Lover in here?
Oh, my man. I didn't see him.
No, he's not in here yet.
Milf Lover's a dirty whore. He goes to one of each of us like
Yeah.
every week.
Okay.
Michael Myers,
Can you have a successful prep without trend?
Yes.
No,
Absolutely.
never.
No.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
Elaborate. What would you do?
I mean,
I've
think,
had coaches. Go ahead, Steve.
I was gonna say, yeah, okay, it's gonna bring a certain look and stuff, but there's like if somebody really can't handle it, or like there's sleep's already an issue, and like, I mean, I would just probably just increase the master on a little bit, maybe, you know what I mean, just to combat that. But I absolutely think you can still get like shredded and hard as nails without it. Like I said, sure, there's a huge benefit to it being in there, but yeah, I mean, I would the master on for sure.
I worked with Alan Kress in like 2016, I think. And he was basically like, dude, you don't need Trent. And I'm like, I've used it before. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it definitely makes a difference. He's like, yeah, but you don't need it. Like, you're not big enough. You're just fat and you were out of shape when you started this prep. Like, just, you got to get the fat off and like grind. He's like, I'll give you a little bit more Clenum. I'll give you Trent. Like, that's basically what it came down to. He's like, you just don't need it. You're not muscular enough. Like, you just get shredded. You know what I mean? And stop worrying about Trent and start worrying about, going harder on the step mill or whatever it was, and I was completely totally shredded for that one. And, we didn't touch any trend and it was just Masteron and test all the way through.
Yeah,
And the Masteron went up over time. Like Steve said, we started at like 400, 600, went up to 800 milligrams.
when I did Universe 16, so fuck, that was so long ago. I was like 23. It's the first year I touched anything, and Johnny didn't have me use Trent at all for like the first, I think, 2 years for preps. There was like maybe 3. Like even with collegiates, I didn't. Because he's like, listen, like you're 24, like just focus on being a young 20-year-old some kid. Like you love bodybuilding and stuff, but I don't like we still don't know if this is like for you. And I remember that conversation we had on the phone, and like I was like, hey man, like I don't even know what the fuck this is. Like whatever you tell me to do, I'll trust you. So but yeah, I recall that, and I didn't use it in my best. I mean, obviously I was much lighter. I wasn't 220 on stage 215 like I was 3 years ago, but I was in the 180s, right? So it's a lot of muscle, but there's probably, other than Junior USA, my best like overall just peeled conditioning, and he just made me suffer with the fucking diet and the cardio. I remember I was 0 carbs for like 9 straight days, and I felt like at day 5 I was actually like dead. I just felt like my soul left my body and I was just a corpse walking. I was like, what is happening? Like someone would tell me something and my mind would be like disconnected, like out of the house. I'd be like, what is going on here? School, I couldn't fucking think straight. It was horrible. And then he gave me like 3 refeed days in a row. And I just remember profusely sweating like for 3 days straight from carbs, sushi, muffins, that shit. And then I dropped like 6 pounds. And then he increased me from 0 carbs up to like 300. And I just held there, but kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter. He was like, Steve, you get lean, you're a lean kid. But he's like, you see under your glutes, you have baby fat. He was like, the stuff on the side of the pec, you have some baby fat on your ham that needs to go. And he's like, you have to suffer. And I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, so
I think you get a lot done in those really short windows of time at
Oh,
really aggressive. Yeah.
big fuck. That was as aggressive as you could get, dude. I remember I literally felt like I was dying. Like I barely wanted to walk. Going to the gym wasn't even like enjoyable at all. I was like, what the fuck? And what's crazy is my strength didn't drop at all those days. I was like, probably just adrenaline.
Yeah.
But,
Especially at that point.
and he had me doing an hour and a half of cardio.
It was the adrenaline and the Masteron and the Halo and the
Wasn't
Winnie.
I didn't do Halo those years either.
I didn't think he would give you Halo if he didn't give you Trent.
No, I didn't do either one. He was on Masteron, Winstrol, a little bit of Test, Proviron. I remember at the beginning I tried was when he had me do the Anadrol the first time in the beginning, and my appetite went to shit in like 3 days, and my blood pressure went up, so that got cut after like a few days. That was pretty much it. I wasn't on much. There was no Clen because my anxiety. There was no Trend, no Halo, no HGH. That motherfucker just made me starve to death. It worked though.
Yeah.
Sometimes that says what people need just works.
And then a lot of people are so fucking afraid. It's always like the big guys too. They're so fucking afraid of not being big. But it's like, bro, you have another 15 to 20 pounds loose to be ready to be on stage. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't realize like you could handle a lot of fucking abuse when you're taking PEDs, especially, when you're 4 or 5 weeks out, taking like all of the shit at that point, right? You could push somebody the fuck hard, like seriously hard, and then they'll be just fine. Make sure you
Yeah.
have some refeeds in there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the key though. I think on the other side of that spectrum, you have so many people in prep that are like, they're so quick to want to lose the weight, so quick to be in shape and like, let's get it done. Let's get it. There's no patience. And it's like, dude, you're 10 weeks out. Like we don't need to be doing this, days and days on end. You know what I mean? Like you said, you basically need the refeeds in there. Like it's a matter of knowing when to push versus when to pull back. Like you said, Steve, like he basically, killed you, but then gave you a huge refeed for 3 days and then bumped up your food after that. And it's like, you got to know when to, you got to know when to push, you got to know when to pull. You know what I mean? That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, it worked. It worked beautifully too. He was like, you just have to buckle down and just get through the next, week, and then it turned into a week, and then he was like, we're gonna do this 2 more days, dude. And then I was like, whatever, I still didn't complain to him the whole time because I was like,
Yeah.
as your coach, you're like, whatever, they're helping me get better.
Right.
But boy, did that was probably the worst prep time period ever of all the preps I've done. That 9 days was the worst.
Sounds like every prep I've ever done.
See, like that's why it's so important to work with a coach for like a good period of time before you ever compete. Because like Johnny knew that he could push you, what he had to do, right? He had to push you for X amount of time and then refeed you. Like he doesn't just fucking make this shit happen with every client. Like what might work for you in that instance might not work for Tim or Marina, right? That's why it's so important to like actually reach out to a coach like in an off season, right? It's so far from optimal to be like, all right, I'm 16 weeks out, I'm gonna hire a coach. Like,
Right.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't even take it unless you were in good shape at 16 weeks out.
would you take
Yeah.
me, Tim?
Yeah, if you were 16 weeks out for sure, because you're shredded fucking 62 weeks out.
62 weeks.
It's like pretty close, actually.
All right. What do I got? When a client is trying to lose weight, do you always keep them in a deficit?
No, I guess we kind of just answered that, right? Like, no, not. Well, I mean,
No,
yeah, I get. There's got to be periods at
Phases.
maintenance, you know, from time to time. Yeah, it's legitimately again knowing when to pull and knowing when to push. And you're going to get pushed. Like, there's no way around it. Like, if you're going to step on stage, you're going to be conditioned. You're going to have to get pushed. You know what I mean? Even if you have a substantial amount of weight that you need to lose, there's going to be times where you're going to have to push. But there also needs to be times that you pull back. Otherwise, you're going to end up on stage stringy, squishy, soft. Like, it's not going to be a good look at all. Remember, this isn't a weight loss contest. Is always what I find myself repeating. It's about, you know, making, you know, specific weights look better and better and better and better and better and stepping on stage with your best look. And that requires food. Food is a very, 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 food is the most potent thing that we work with on a day-to-day basis. It's more potent than Clen. It's more potent than fucking, you know, the T3s, the T4s, you know, the training. Food is what's going to make or break your look is what it comes down to. And that needs to be manipulated accordingly.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who's next, Marita?
This is my last one. What is something you wish you knew as a first-time bikini competitor? Guess it's just for me, but that it is a longer, you need more muscle than you think. Like nowadays, a good, you know, high level, maybe national level bikini physique is probably closer to a 4 or 5 year physique than like it used to be like 3, yeah, a year, maybe up to 3 years. But now it's honky. These girls are really honky.
Yeah, the class has evolved so much. Like back previously when I competed in like, you know, 20 early 2010s, like the bikini chicks back then
Oh
barely
yeah.
even looked like they lifted. It's crazy
Exactly.
now. Like I watched the Arnold, like those chicks were so fucking good. Um, but yeah, Marina, I remember it was funny a couple of years ago. I was talking to this chick that I know. It's funny. I used to work with her. She's a WMBF pro, and I saw she was like posting on her Instagram, and somebody was like, "Oh, why don't you do NPC bikini?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm too muscular." And it's just, you know, I just shook my head. Like I would never engage in that, right? But
Yeah,
it's like,
no.
dude, you are so far from too muscular. Like go look at the fucking chicks at not even like the only like look at chicks at the national level, you
Yeah.
know?
100%.
There's way more muscle than you think.
Oh yeah.
I remember the first bikini competitor I ever had, Irene Dibbs, right? Way back. It was probably like 2012, I think. 2012, 2011, something like that. Right. And she was shredded. Again, it was the first year. We really didn't know what to expect at that point to the fullest extent. So we got her shredded, right? But she was also super young. She was like 18 years old. So it's not like she was loaded with muscularity, but shredded, like veins in her abs, like just completely and totally dialed in. You know what I mean? And I remember she took like dead last. Like there was like 30 girls in the class. And when I say dead last, I mean like they literally, instead of like, you know, 16th for everybody, they literally told her she was number 32, which didn't, that's not literal. That's a joke. I made that up. But like, she was like, there was girls that were placing whatever 14th, and they looked like maybe they were like, you know, 6 weeks pregnant. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand it. And then of course the judges are like, dude, it's like, that's not the look we're going for. You know, it's completely and totally different ball game now. Completely and totally different ball game. There needs to be a certain level of conditioning, a certain level of muscularity, a certain level of balance,
Oh,
what you're
Jen just
presenting
came
on
in.
stage. Yeah, I think bikini is that one thing right now where it's like it really is more of a total package, not just bikini, the wellness categories like that, but it's very much a total package thing where you need to start being more considerate of the suit that you're wearing, not just, you know, I like red. Well, okay, that's cool, but does red match with everything else that's going on here in terms of your hair colors and making you pop on stage? You know, how are we doing your hair? You know, we had a client last year who did their hair a very particular way. And we were told by judges after the show that they need to change their hair for their next competition. You know what I mean? So it literally wasn't like conditioning. It wasn't like this or it wasn't that. They were like, hey, she needs to change her hair before her next show. You know what I mean? So like little things like that, you'd be surprised with that bikini category, but it all does matter, especially once you get to that higher level of, you know, a national level stage and beyond.
So they
That's what happened to
talking
me at Easterns, dude. The judges told me I got second because I needed better hair.
shit.
Yeah,
That's what every show
Yeah,
they tell me.
that was because you shaved your beard beforehand.
If I compete
All right.
again, should I keep my beard on stage?
I would like to see it.
Yeah, totally.
I think you
I
should.
don't know how much of a thing that is anymore. I don't think that's really as much of a thing as it used to be. Like I feel like that's, you know, it's been a
Depends on
long
the
time
judge.
since I heard of anybody. Yeah, I guess it's true too.
I don't know if I would with
Judge.
Weinberger.
Women, female judges like clean shaven.
All you
Yeah,
got to do is sponsor the
Really?
show, Steve, and then you're good. You can do whatever you want with your facial hair.
Weinberger doesn't like beards either.
No,
I don't think so, dude. Who the fuck ever wins with him judging that as a full grown beard?
Who the fuck that's good ever wins with him
Whoever-
judging?
Whoever's the biggest. Anyway, watch yourself, Marina. Watch yourself.
I didn't
Mhm.
know Marina.
Your 5-year goal with coaching.
5-year goal.
Yeah.
Have enough clients to support myself. Continue to change lives.
That was just, mine's just to keep helping people, doing what I'm doing. And the biggest thing is just to keep learning, from people that I look up to, that I know more than me, and never stop learning. I think that's a big thing too. Yeah, and just keep being honest and who I am, and keep helping people.
I would like to have something a little bit more substantive, especially at my age with the kids and this being my main source of income. I see guys like Dom Cruz is in the chat right now, or watching, I guess. But a guy like Dom Stein, he's somebody that's been around for a while. He just did well by his clients and just consistently put out good products and tried to help people over and over and over again. And he turned that into now working with companies, not just sponsorships through company, but working for those companies in specific roles, being able to kind of evolve his coaching into different teams and being able to kind of, once you're supporting other coaches, right. It's like you are then helping the most amount of people by proxy. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? By proxy, does that work there? By me integrating myself into Marina, into Riley, now I'm able to work with 300 people instead of just 100 people, right? Because each of them can have. I'd rather be able to have that kind of impact where every calorie counts is now recognized by those 300 people and changing their life on a regular basis, rather than just what I can do individually. That's A. And then B, again, it gives me something more substantive to be able to live off of for the family, for the kids, and actually have something that surpasses just the coaching bubble that I think we've all kind of been raised in. You know what I mean? Coaching is something that I've watched over the last 10 years get bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we see that bubble almost coming to a point where it's going to burst. It's like, I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, it's there for the long haul and not just there for the short term.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was gonna say too with Matt, making sure that he, we keep building his roster up and such. I know he doesn't do this, obviously, the coaching thing full time and such, but still, that's important to me too.
I would say, hey, Milf Over's here. We'll get your question after this one. So that's a tough question for me, right? 5 years is a long, long time. And I have a lot of opportunity in front of me between my career, which is in the software space, coaching, right? But then also competing, right? Because in 5 years, mark my words, I'll be a top 10 Olympian. I'll be winning whatever most pro shows that I pick. I'm going to be a top name going in, like a front runner. So I don't know what any of those things could bring me in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
I think if, with all those things said, there is going to be a point in time where I have to decide whether or not I want to continue down the path I am with my career, or do I want to shift to a lower touch role and take the coaching as my main gig. And I know what number, what income I need to make from coaching for myself to ask that question. So it's really going to come down to what point in time does that happen? Where am I at in my career? And of course, where am I at with bodybuilding, right? So we'll decide when those things collide, right? Anything else on this topic, or should we go into Milf Fulver's question?
Let's hit Milf Lover's question. The anticipation's killing me.
All right, favorite comfort food.
What is it?
Favorite comfort food.
Can we define comfort food real quick?
What is the definition of comfort food? Milf,
Yeah,
tell us your definition of
Food that gives you comfort.
Because I just eat whatever the hell I want. So,
well, what is comfort food defined by is it just food that gives you comfort, Marina, or is it fucking?
I was gonna say, is it just
chicken and waffles and mac and cheese?
Is it like when you just eat whatever the hell you want?
Like what makes you feel good? Like cozy. Like that. It's okay. How about this? I'll paint a picture for you. It's snowing out. Christmas. No. I'm not gonna say Christmas because then you're gonna think of Christmas stuff. But it's snowing out. You're in your jammies. You got the fire crackling. What do you want to eat?
I'm not answering that.
Why?
The guy's got it. I'm not answering.
Honestly,
Yeah,
any
I don't.
any baked good on the face of the earth, and the fucking half gallon of whole milk
See,
just ready to
milk
go.
lover got me.
A little snacky
I
wacky
love
that
that
makes
kid.
you feel naughty or like you shouldn't have eaten
I
it.
shouldn't have eaten it.
I love that kid. He's the
Oh my
man.
god.
Milk Lover is going to be our first sponsored athlete of
Yeah,
the
he's the
fucking-
man.
Yeah,
of the
seriously.
podcast,
Really?
for sure.
Kid's just the man.
Ugh.
So I like that it makes you feel naughty because it's funny. But dude, like, so since Sam started prep, like whatever, 8, 9 weeks ago, I just get cheat meals by myself. And I don't have a sweet tooth, so I'm always getting burgers or like a burrito or something, you know?
McDonald's, you
And
fat ass.
always, yeah, always.
Always.
Yeah, I'm not checking for him. What was your cheat meal? 3 McDoubles and a large fry.
He's such a fat
But
fuck.
last weekend she bought me a cookie from Costco, like a big ass cookie from Costco, and I ate it. You know, I felt so fucking guilty after. I was like, why? It wasn't even that good.
Was it good? That's the worst.
It really wasn't good. No, it was like fucking hard.
I don't think I've ever met a cookie that's not good though. The hard ones are whack. Like if anybody's out there buying the blue pack of Chips Ahoy, like you deserve
yeah.
to be like fucking.
Yeah,
Oh,
you need
those
the
are
red
great.
pack.
I love
You
No,
need
those.
the red
hard
pack.
one? What are you
The
talking
red
about?
pack.
The
both
red
good.
pack.
They're both good.
The red is
No.
better, but I'd always eat the blue.
What?
Yeah. See, Taylor saying I requested a salted chocolate chip cookie. A chocolate chip cookie with a little bit of sea salt on top.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on.
See what I'm saying?
Because Taylor's in here. I have
That's
a
good.
question. Can you make me? Obviously, I'll pay for him. A mint. I just love mint chocolate chip. Mint chocolate chip cookie with Oreos.
Ooh, guys.
That's a good one too. Actually,
Dude,
I'm a mint chocolate chip guy myself.
I love it
My
too.
mouth.
Dude, speaking of mint chocolate chip, I love it as well. We
So
went to
good.
Vitamin Shop the other day and they had buy one get one 50% off of whatever. And I was like, fuck it, I really like mint chocolate chip. They had the raw
What?
Seabum isolate or whatever. Dude, it is the best tasting fucking way I've
Is it
ever had in
really?
my life.
And it's mint
so
chocolate
good,
chip.
dude. There's chocolate chips in it too. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Taylor, where do I find these cookies at?
The website, man.
No, but Tim, I thought we were gonna Lady
yeah.
and the Tramp each other mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Wait, what?
I thought we were gonna Lady and the Tramp each other mint chocolate chip ice cream.
I don't think that works with chocolate chip ice cream. I think I'd be licking it out of your beard or vice versa. But I mean, there's only one way to find out.
She said just the. I'm on your site now. Oh, Oreo mint chip. You weren't lying. Oh wow. Box of 12. Add to my order. What's it say? Yes. What would you like to say in the special request section? No, thank you. Special requests. Add to my order. All right, Taylor. I just ordered them.
What's our next question?
Such a-
Yeah, exactly. You fat bastard. Dude.
I want
Worst,
them.
worst bodybuilder on the face of the earth. All right. Biggest factors or variables you see in bikini specifically. Sorry. I wrote these down real quick, so they're all over the place. Biggest factors or variables you see in bikini competitors who come in first versus last.
The look,
They eat
posing,
Taylor's
and-
cookies.
they eat Taylor's
Wait,
cookies.
Taylor, you're gonna drive these down here to me? It says delivery. She's not gonna drive these down here. Does she ship?
I have no idea. I don't know.
There's no
She
way I'm
lives
gonna
like-
let her
She
drive
lives
down
like 10 minutes from here. So
See, this guy Kev gets it. Oh, she'll ship them. Okay, so should I click delivery, Taylor?
Dude has never ordered anything online before.
Yeah, right. Like seriously, like what do you need?
Bro,
you know
you
what,
think you
Taylor? Please
ship?
DM him
Really?
step by
Well,
step.
no.
How to click.
Fuck you guys. It's asking me for delivery time, the date and time. I don't know what to put. Okay, so
You guys
Taylor,
We're home all day, every day. What do you mean?
what happens if I'm in the shed, bro, and I miss the delivery with my cookies? I'll be
Put
pissed.
special instructions. If nobody answers the door, go around back.
Go to the shed.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
All
so-
right. I'm so sorry, guys.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I know Jen. This is actually a question from my
Oh,
first time
so
bikini
sorry.
client. So what's the difference that you see in terms of a first place finish versus a last place finish? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me, I think it's just gonna be the look. If you have basically two girls, same conditioning, same muscularity, but one suit is a fucking weird color and her hair is a mess and her makeup's a mess, but the other girl is nicely put together, suit looks good, hair looks good, makeup looks good, tan is good, she's gonna win, and the other girl who's a fucking mess is probably gonna get like fourth.
I was gonna say it's presentation, right? Whole thing.
Presentation,
Leanness,
yeah, posing, yeah.
fullness, making sure that all
The
their
difference between first and last.
No, I
I was
think
gonna
he's
say,
asking like what sets that first place apart.
yeah, I
It's
was gonna
gonna be
say
a
the suit
presentation, yeah.
color, make sure it goes with their tan,
Yeah,
the
but let's be
presentation with
real.
the
I mean,
walk, the smile, right?
let's be real though. What separates first from last at like a regional show? It's going to be conditioning every single time.
Oh yeah.
We're like those variables that you guys are talking about are probably more for like national level or pro level shows because like these chicks aren't going to come in out of shape or they're not likely to come out of shape at either of those levels, right? That's the biggest variable, the most important one.
Yeah, I think 100%. I'm not going to argue with that being the most important one. But I also think the structure of a female
Yeah, I
in
was gonna say
bikini
that.
is ultimately very important. And somebody that does have a really good structure can get away with maybe being a little bit softer than the next girl, or maybe not having as much muscle as the next girl. But again, her flow, her structure is really going to set her apart in terms of having that, kind of bikini look, if you would. You know what I mean? And again, the girl next to her might have a little bit deeper lines in her hamstrings. Her glutes might separate a little bit better, but at the end of the day, she has, whatever, she has wider hips or, whatever it might be. The bottom line is that girl with the structure. I think that that's something that's very, very apparent to judges at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Posing too, I think is huge, even if your
Posing's
conditioning is
huge.
on point.
Not even just posing like your routine, but something that I've learned, recently here is just your walk. The walk is the first thing that the judges see when you come out. And if you're walking like a fucking duck or like a baby deer and it's the first time that you're in heels, they're gonna want to look away. You need to captivate the judges and work on your walk specifically. That is something that people overlook. They just practice routine, 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 and you're only doing your routine once for 15 seconds. Half of the time, 90% of the time that you're on stage, you're walking.
Yeah. And then, like we've already touched about, when you do get to the little bit of a higher level, muscularity is probably going to be a difference maker.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Tim, you got one, Matt?
That was my last one. So, I was the last one. So if you want to go, Matt.
It's you in the gym.
Enjoying it.
Yeah. Not being out of shape for my daughter.
Wanting to get big.
Having to scare boys
Honestly, the
away
one
from
thing
my
I would
daughter.
say is I think I've been to the gym in multiple different places in my life. You know what I mean? I've been training for 20 years. And I would say the better
Environment, right?
how do I no, not even the environment sometimes. Like I go back and forth with the environment. I'm weird. Like sometimes I like to be completely and totally excluded and I really, really like I thrive off it. And then other times like I want to be in a gym with more people and I thrive off of that. I don't know. I go back and forth with that one. I think for me, it really has come down to like the more consistent I've been with my approach and the more consistent my physique has been, the more consistently I enjoy being in the gym. You know what I mean? I know it sounds super vain. It sounds super like super superficial, right? But at the end of the day, like there's a big difference between training when you're not really like in love with the way that your body looks. You're not really happy with that. Like when I'm in shape, I love going to the gym. I love being there. I like the pump that I get. I love the feel that I get. I love the way that I look. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where it's like that on top of enjoying the training. It's like I really do like enjoy being there with that. You know what I mean? If I'm out of shape and I'm, maybe I'm not doing well as far as my diet is concerned. I'm not getting as good of a pump because I'm a little bit more higher body fat, yada yada yada. I might not have the same level of enjoyment, right, as I am when I'm there and I got, the veins are popping out of my chest. And again, I know it sounds super vain and super superficial, but at the end of the day, there's a very like real good feeling that comes from that. And I know that might not be something that everybody can associate right away with, but that could be the motivating factor to get you to that point. You know what I mean? And like really enjoying the way that you look in the gym on top of the way that it feels.
Dude, I know what you mean so much about like when you're really lean, like look catching yourself in the mirror, dude,
You
definitely it's
surprise
like
yourself sometimes.
self-motivating.
You
Yeah.
legitimately surprise yourself.
Dude, last time I remember there was a distinct moment. I was like 2 weeks out of junior nationals, and I was like fucking inside out. It was like the day after a refeed. And I remember I don't normally train in tank tops, but I did that day. And I took it off. And I just remember looking in the mirror and seeing the pump I had on my shoulders. I was like, bro, it's like that's me? No way. But
Those are the days where it's like we always like going to the gym, but when I'm there, it's like those are the days where I literally can't wait to get to the gym for that hour to get that pump and then feel that good.
what I love an empty gym. And my favorite thing ever is like before a top set, I like find a really good song, right? And then I just like kind of get in the zone, and I'm usually thinking about like first call out at a show, and waiting for my number to get called, and then I just fucking go into another world and like just blast the shit out of the top set. And what's really motivating is when you beat your number from the last week, whether it's reps or weight, or even a huge win for me is like let's say today I did 9 reps on my top set for the incline press. If I do 9 reps again next week, but it's easier or it feels better, like that shit gets me pumped too.
Yeah. Yeah. Progress. Sure. Anybody else? Anything?
Mine's just to get a pro card when I'm 35 and masters.
You be a fake natty universe.
No, that's only the open, I think. Masters isn't. Masters is
Masters, you can blast drugs.
Oh, okay, yeah, perfect. There you go.
I don't know. Man, 35 and over has been a little it's been getting more and more competitive. You might have to wait until you're 40. Just put you back a few more years. A few more cheesesteaks won't hurt you.
No, I mean for me it's still like the desire to like the goal of wanting to achieve a pro card. But the older I've gotten, the more I've realized like, being a dad now, like, Matt, we've talked about this a lot. It's just like the desire to know when to push the drugs and not now, having like looking at my daughter and just being like, okay, I don't have a show in mind. Like, why do I need all these drugs? It's just like I feel like it's guilt, and like selfishness. And knowing like that I still want to achieve a pro card more so too, like for my dad, that's a big thing. Because that's something that like he got me into that saved my life. So I feel like I owe it to him to at least try to get it. At least while he's still here. So and I tell him still to this day, like, yeah, I'm in it. I'll get it, and I'll definitely get it for you. But right now with like real life took over, right? Like we starting our family and a couple years ago and continuing it now and stuff like that. So like, I had to be selfless and put the bodybuilding on the side, right? And like competitive wise, right? So I want to say at least for right now, it's what pushes me is at least wanting to get the pro card for myself, my dad, and at least so like my kids can see like, okay, you have a goal, you set out to do it, whether it takes you 17 years, 10 years, a year, whatever. So at least as they continue to grow up, I can at least tell them like, hey, daddy had to take a break to like have you guys, and like start a family. And like, that's what real life is about too. But when you start something, you finish it. So. Didn't mean,
Marina.
didn't mean to get all.
Yeah,
deep
I
on
said
you,
just getting
sorry.
big.
What'd you say?
Just getting big.
It's crazy how like you could see the age difference showed there. Like,
I just want huge delts and huge glutes. That's it. That's
it's
what motivates me in the gym.
nothing against you, Marie. I'm just saying, like,
I know I literally
as you
have
get
no
older
like
and
I
you
no I
progress-
have I have
like-
no real like substantial reason. I literally just want huge delts and huge glutes.
If you asked me that 5 years ago when I was here, how old are you, Marina? 25?
24.
24. If you asked me at 24, it'd have been like, I want to be 300 pounds. Now
Me,
it's,
me too.
now it's just,
There's not one fiber in my being that would want to be 300 pounds.
never. Fuck that.
I
no
want
fucking
300
way.
pounds just on my butt cheeks.
I don't even want to be 250 again. I really don't. I felt like dog shit. Right now I'm 236 and I feel good.
Oh, we weigh the same. I'm 1 pound more than you asshole.
Were you sloppy at 250 though? Not
No.
sloppy, but you know what I mean. Holding on
No.
to no.
No, my blood
Yeah.
pressure was better then than it is actually now.
That's crazy.
But my anxiety was better. Wasn't as bad then as it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I was on way more drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was way better. My blood pressure then was like 115/65.
Well, it
Well, I
just
wonder
means you
if
have
it
to
was the
replicate that
drugs that made you
cycle.
feel like shit.
What'd you say?
Oh.
What you, Tim?
I was just being stupid, go to.
No, I would say if you were on all the drugs at 250, I wonder if it was the drugs that made you feel like shit. Like all I'm saying is
It
I've
was
noticed
the
a
amount
big
of food.
difference.
It was the amount of food.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was gonna say I've noticed a big difference on at every given weight when you like the harder it is to get to that weight, right? Which I think is always hard first, right? Like it's always hard to get
It
there
was
first
tough.
because you have to push the food, you're probably pushing the drugs, you're pushing the training, you know, you're pushing everything.
It
And then what
sucked.
happens is you obviously clean up a little bit, or maybe like a year goes by, whatever, you know what I mean? And then you get back to that same weight, but you get there so much easier the second time around.
Yes.
Less drugs, less food, potentially, all that different stuff. And it just seems like you get there easier. It's easier to be there, it's easier to maintain there, it's easier to feel good there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we
You
never
know?
pushed to get back there because after junior US, so I was 251, and Johnny held me there for about 2 months, and my food didn't get touched at all. And then he started to drop it around 20 weeks out, and then I dropped to like 230 pretty quick. And then at like 8 weeks out on into like the Philly show, my weight would not budge at all. Like it was like 230, like, and I just kept getting harder and harder. And then for the Philly show, I was 224, and I got there easy. But then to Junior USA's, it was what, 5, 6 weeks. It was I went from 224 to 217, but I was like 220 before he started to mess with water or anything. And like I was just hard as nails. I remember that. But I went from 251 to like 230 pretty quick, like the first like fucking 6 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But performance didn't struggle. I was just so uncomfortable, dude. Like it wasn't breathing or anything. It was just, I remember sitting there just trying to get down 195 grams of chicken and 350 grams of rice. And I would just like take a whole bite in my mouth, chew it, and then just slug water, slosh it around. And so it was so disgusting. Like
So good for your
And
digestion.
then at least for an hour after the meal, it's just all coming back up a little
It
bit every time
sucks,
you
dude.
burp, and it's fucking awful.
It's fucking horrible. And then I had no choice. Johnny's like, you want to grow or like you just want to stay, smaller. And he's like,
Yeah.
what do you want to do? Like, you don't have the best appetite. Like, it's crazy how that works too. Cause like, if you tell me to eat 5,000 calories of cheesesteaks, done. 2 cheesesteaks down, easy, and
Well,
fries.
it's the food volume, dude.
I know it's the volume.
Mhm.
Yeah, dude, it's
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah,
horrendous.
yeah.
I
During my
remember,
last push, there was a point I had to tell you, like, you got to put in like
Yeah.
fucking bread or something. I can't keep
yeah,
the amount of food in my gut. Because like
Yeah.
on my cheat meals, I would eat like a big fucking dirty ass cheat meal and my gut would be fine. But by the end of a normal day, like I've had fucking so much goddamn rice and
we
shit.
had to lower your protein by a pretty significant amount. So I've never pushed Matt's protein, and then I was like, listen, like we don't know unless we try, right? So I did. Within 2 weeks, we had to lower it. He does great with
Nice.
carbs, and he can't push like his protein's high, obviously, but he's a 240-pound dude, and like it's all muscle, obviously, and he just can't handle an immense amount of protein. Like his gut can't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mine has to
that
be
was-
one way or the other. It's either really high carb and lowish protein, or I could do really like I've done 200 grams of protein per meal. You know what I mean? Cooked weight too, 200 grams of protein. But it's not grams of weight wise, 200 grams weight wise. So that's whatever, like 60, 70 grams of protein per meal. But it's just it's too much when you're doing fucking even 500 grams of carbs, let alone 6, 7, 800 grams of carbs. But for me, whenever I get up that high, I have to do, it's got to be like, I'm doing like 200 to 300 grams of carbs, literally, pre and intra workout in shakes, just to offload some of the stress on the GI from all the carbohydrate.
Yeah, I hate intra carbs for myself personally. I think they work great for a lot of people, but I just can't do them.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. I just want water. I don't even do like I've nothing during training.
My
Yeah, see,
training performance drops so hard when I pull carbs from intra workout.
Yeah, I'm the
Does it?
exact opposite. Yeah,
I'm the
me too.
opposite.
I'm with you, Matt. I like
Oh, really?
even if I'm tail into prep, I'd rather have 10 grams of carbs in intra workout than have
Wow.
no. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Agreed.
I'm about to
want
ask Johnny
something.
if I can bring Lucky Charms out back with me. Just start eating them during my training. My whole
Dude, I used
thing
to eat
is
Skittles back in the day, 2010.
my gut never has done well with a lot of liquid during training. Like even a week out, I can't even drink a liter of water during training. I'll just feel like my stomach's out to here. It's great. I've always been like that though. prep, off season, anything. So literally, Johnny just has like 12 ounces of water in my
I got
intro.
down like 3 liters while I train. And just keep
Yeah.
going.
That's
I'm
crazy.
literally I'm a full shaker cup before I go in, usually like whatever that's
Wow.
25 ounces. But then I have the 40-ounce shaker cups or the 1.5 Essentia bottle. I'll
Yeah.
use the liter 0.25
That's what I use
bottle.
at these, the 1.5 liters. So I just drink 4 of them a day. And then I drink
Yeah.
a liter.
Well, I
during
drink I drink one of those during training.
It's crazy because right now he only has me doing 20 minutes of cardio, right? So I just do the step mill and I'll get a whole, like, I can feel like I can get 2 of these down during 20 minutes of cardio, but an hour of training, I can't.
Hmm.
It's fucking crazy.
That's weird. That's one of those things like mental, you know what I mean? Where it's like fucking yeah.
My stomach hurts though.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's time for Rice Krispies pre-workout. I gotta tell John.
for sure. So wait, where are we? Oh, how do you decide what competition is best for a competitor?
That's a good question. So I think if it's like a
Go
what's
ahead.
it Tim?
Nothing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think if it's like a first time competitor, you want to choose one. I think that's at least local within like an hour, hour and a half. So there's no traveling in terms of plane rides and stuff like that. So the most amount of comfort can be there. Obviously, you do have people that are extremely developed, right? And develop quicker than others and might be ready for a national show quicker, right? Within like a year or two, where someone might take 3, 4, 5 years. So I think that really just comes down to like the coach, right? Knowing when they're going to be ready for that and then having that discussion with the individual.
Oh, geez.
But at least if it's like a first time competitor, I think something local where they can drive to, one night of a hotel if needed, the tan, the makeup, if it's a female, everything's there in one area. So they don't have like to go drive it all over. So their stress, because their stress is going to be up naturally anyway from the nerves. I think something where it's close, their family can be there, things like that. I think that all comes into play.
I hate picking shows ahead of time. It's necessity.
Yes.
It happens every year too. Like it happens every single year. Whether it's like last year it was PA muscle, everybody wanted to do it. Whatever it is, the bottom line is it usually happens. But I hate picking shows ahead of time. I'd rather have people, start their process, kind of, ease them into the actual prep itself. And then, now we're sitting somewhere where it's like we're 10 to 15 pounds off the stage weight. And like, okay,
Right.
Now we're ready for prep, but we still have whatever, 20 weeks to be able to make this prep, 16 weeks, whatever it's going to be. We got 10 to 15 pounds to pull off, let's go for it. But now it's like, I'd rather maneuver around a time frame that I know shows are pretty potent, right? Like June, July, or whatever it is, like in that time frame. And now it's like, okay, my big thing is, if you're going to compete, especially as a female who asked this question, make sure that you have multiple shows that you could do. You know what I mean? You're not going to be that lean, you're not going to compete every single year. Go through prep. Let's see where we're at once things start to fall in line, instead of trying to put together a process that you may have to push on, right? Unwillingly, you're pushing on something so that you can get to this show date, when the reality is you pushing like that is probably going to bring you a worse package than if you just allow things to happen more, kind of organically, so to speak, over time. And maybe you have to do a show a month later than you thought. But the reality is, again, that presentation you're going to have is going to be so much greater. Oh, I think it's because I'm doing the thumbs up. That's why I got it.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Nice.
How did I get that? I don't even know how that happened.
Fireworks! Damn!
I do this for my daughter on FaceTime all the time. Check it
Oh,
out.
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could
Damn.
do that. Oh man, you
Yeah.
just made me a magician, Tim. Thank you.
I do it for my
It's
my
not
daughter
working.
loves that.
The one variable that I think of in terms of picking shows is like make sure it's a good time of year that you're gonna compete. So like for me, I'm never going to compete in like the first quarter of the year because that's the last quarter of the company I work at's fiscal year. So we're like super busy trying to get business done. It would just be a bad, stressful idea, right?
Yeah.
So take that into consideration. Also take into consideration like big events, like maybe you have a vacation plan or like your best friend is getting married. Like, these are things that are going to be kind of a pain in the ass to deal with if you're, 2 weeks out. But just take into account what you have going on the rest of the year. Stage ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing too. I think that's it's a really good point.
Yeah, I learned the hard way, picking a show and okay.
You guys were done?
We got kicked off.
We got kicked off.
Ah,
That was
what
so
happened?
weird. I don't know.
I
It
have
just
no idea.
literally said live video ended.
Well, should I do an outro and then stop it?
No,
Yeah.
I'll go back. Should I go back on or no?
How many more questions do we have?
I've got 2 more.
All right. I mean, if you guys want to go back on, let's go
Yeah,
back
go
on.
back on.
All right.
What the fuck? That was so weird. What the hell was that? I've never seen that before.
You fat fingered it. Too much GH.
Yeah.
I'm not even touching the phone.
Oh, Steve's fat fingered it and he broke it.
No, I didn't. That's a lie.
Hi, Steve.
And
What's up,
Tim and
Sam?
Marina.
What's
Yo,
up?
Sam.
Hey, Tim. Are you done then?
No, we're gonna go back on.
I got 2 more questions, but that was so weird.
Be on soon.
That was so strange.
Yeah.
It would be strange if it wasn't fucking. Wait, where's Matt?
Right there.
There he is.
So
We all know
for-
what happened there.
For
anybody
everyone.
that-
Oh, or were you gonna?
I was just gonna say, fucking Steve has been eating fucking too many cheesesteaks and his fingers got all slippery. He fucking hit the button by accident.
For everyone,
That they reached a foot in front of me and touched it.
Yeah.
for everyone for everyone listening on the podcast, after the fact, we got kicked off the live for some reason. That is why there's a little blip in the recording.
Guys, I forgot to mention to you guys, Johnny Slick's beard company reached out to me.
No way.
Oh,
You're
that's cool.
kidding.
Yeah, they're actually really good. I like that
cool.
company a
They
lot.
reached out to me to be an ambassador for their products.
So actually,
their,
Steve does win the
I'll
beard
let you
game.
go. I have their bomb, the oil that you guys talked about last week. I have that from them. I have their fucking soap. Their fucking. They actually got me a package. You guys got me a package of that last year at the show. They got me a whole package with like fucking beard soap and all that shit. I've been using it ever since.
Yeah, the guy messaged me and asked me to fill out the ambassador link, and I didn't do it yet because I don't know if it was like a scam or what.
All right. What are the last 2 questions? Because I'm getting hangry.
You have a cheesesteak to eat?
I don't.
I got what are the best fruits to eat?
I love all fruits. I think all
Yeah,
fruits
I
have
don't
their benefits.
discriminate.
I would say if you want like the lowest calorie fruits and maybe even the best fruits from like antioxidant polyphenol, like the benefits as far as the nutrients, probably the berries,
Berries.
raspberries are really good ones. Strawberries are very low in calories for a lot of volume. Blueberries have a ton of antioxidant
Oh, I
and
want
polyphenol
strawberries.
support. So there's a lot of benefit that you get from berries, but I think all fruit, like apples have a certain pectin in them that can help you go to the bathroom. Pears are great at being able to go to the bed. Like there's certain fruits that are gonna be higher in overall electrolytes. Fruits are great.
I
You
want
know what fruit
fruits.
I love that doesn't get enough love is watermelon.
Yeah,
Watermelon's
another good
fire.
Low calorie,
So
low
good.
calorie.
Cherries are about to be back in season, right? Springtime.
What's your favorite fruit, Marina?
My favorite fruit. I have to think on this. I have to think.
Fruit, and that's the only fruit you can eat for the rest of the year.
Pineapple all the way. Pineapple is fucking delicious.
100%.
Pineapple makes my tongue burn, but it is so
It's
good.
worth it. It's worth it.
It's like one of my
Um,
least favorites.
Pineapple's one of your least favorites?
What?
It's so
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
messy and like it's a pain
How the hell
in
you
the ass.
eating?
No,
Yeah,
I
that's
get
why-
frozen pineapple. I get frozen, but it's annoying.
Clementines,
Order
good clementines
from
are
Whole
fire.
Foods. Order from
You know what I
Canelo's, they
hate?
do all the work for you.
You know what I hate? What's that green melon? Is it? Oh, it's melon, right?
Honeydew,
Melon, I
honeydew.
hate.
Oh, yeah, the green
Honeydew.
one,
I
the fucking
hate. I
honeydew's
hate
gross.
cantaloupe. I hate honeydew.
Cantaloupe is awesome too. It's low. That's super low in calories. You get a shit ton of that.
I don't
I
like
fucking love
cantaloupe. It
cantaloupe.
makes my throat itch.
You're probably allergic to it. I'm
Yeah.
allergic to kiwi, actually.
Activity test. Mark.
Kiwi's great too.
Is it? Yeah, thanks for rubbing it.
Kiwi's
Yeah, kiwi's
good.
awesome. It's very strong antibacterial too. Just saying.
Oh, Tim, I got my
Pomegranates.
activity test done.
Did you? Where'd you go? Everly Well?
No, whatever Johnny sent me.
Oh, good. The Everly Well. I was literally reading something on it yesterday, I think.
Yeah,
Where it
Johnny
was like-
told me don't do it.
Yeah, complete bullshit.
Yeah, no, I got it done. I'm pretty good on pretty much everything except for it said I had a slight sensitivity to wheat, gluten, which I'm assuming a lot of people are. The dairy came up because I'm lactose intolerant. And what else was on there? There was a fish on there. And almond butter.
Probably more stress than anything else, though, than what the issue was.
And egg whites too, which I knew from years ago.
Yeah, I would say
Everything
everybody.
came back good except for everything on the fucking list.
No, those I would say if you get a
That's not a lot
sensitivity
compared
test,
to like some people.
Yeah.
It's like
No, I know a lot of people really fucked up this morning. I was expecting you to say that one thing.
I bet you if every one of us went to go get a food sensitivity test, we'd all come back sensitive to egg whites, dairy, gluten,
Yeah,
everything.
when I got my food sensitivity, I did the Everly Well. I think it was egg whites, something else. It's like 2 other
Always.
things.
Yeah, egg whites
It's
bad.
yeah.
Dude, I got a lead stomach. I can't believe it.
I do have one more
I'm
question
good.
as we're on the fruit concept. How much veggies are too much? And I saw she's in the chat right now too, so I want to make sure I get her question out there. How much
Any amount
veggies
for
are too
me.
much?
1 gram is too much for me. That hurt. Broccoli actually kills my stomach. Shit like broccoli kills my stomach.
Yeah, I think it really depends on what you can tolerate. That like veggies and protein are very similar in my opinion, where it's like there's a certain threshold that people can tolerate, and after that threshold, it's like you're gassy, you're bloated. And remember, veggies can also be pretty consistently like obviously there's low FODMAP options, but they're pretty consistently high in FODMAPs, which are going to generate a lot of gas, a lot of byproduct, could potentially causing a lot of distension from that gas buildup. So veggies, I think, are one thing that you kind of got to be careful with. But once you figure out what works for you, I don't. Again, I think the limit should be based on what you can tolerate well enough from a digestibility perspective, rather than saying like, oh, this is too much from a caloric perspective, or whatever. They're so low in calories, it's hard to overdo it. I've seen people do it in prep when they're starving. They'll definitely overdo veggies for sure. But again, they're walking around with distended belly afterwards. They probably can't shit. They got they're gassy as hell. So your body will tell you when you're having too much for sure.
And then the last one I had was, how can you tell if somebody is, it said carb sensitive, but I'm assuming they mean like insulin resistant.
I would assume my assumption on that would be that they think that they retain water or they get fat from
That's
carbs
what I
or
thought
something like
of.
that. Yeah,
They're like,
that's what I usually think of.
yeah, they're just like can't eat carbs because they're carbs. It's probably just need to lose weight or clean your
Yeah.
fun, things like that. Probably glucose numbers are probably high.
Yeah.
Things like
Yeah,
that.
I would say it's very rare. Like we were just talking about a food sensitivity test. Like I would say it's very rare that you're going to find somebody that is quote unquote sensitive to most carbohydrate options. You know what I mean? It's just you built this thought process that carbs are bad, and or the carbs make you retain water, and or that you don't feel it. Usually, even with some of these sensitivity tests, in a lot of cases, it's not a matter of the fact that you can't eat these things that you're sensitive to right now. It's a matter of that you've created a specific environment internally that's only conducive to these few things. And once you broaden your horizon a little bit and your body adapts, which it's very, very, very fucking efficient at, right? Especially when it comes to the enzymatic production that we have. Remember, most people have the capacity to digest anything that they're consuming. Like we'll see pretty commonly things like lactose intolerance, where we legitimately lack the lactase enzyme to be able to break down lactose and be able to digest it. So what happens? It comes fucking flying out your other end. You know what I mean? Same exact thing with gluten. Like sometimes we'll see people don't have the ability to produce the enzymes necessary to break down that gluten. It can cause a whole host of issues because of how inflammatory it is. But when it comes to carbohydrate, for example, you produce enough amylase in your fucking saliva in your mouth to be able to break that down, just chew your food a little bit better. You know what I mean? Let alone what you're producing from a pancreatic perspective. You have proteases, protein enzyme. Like rarely are you going to see many issues as far as that kind of stuff is concerned. In terms of the actual digestibility of it, in terms of your body's function, right? It's more so, hey, you've created an environment through the lack of consumption of these things, right? Where you're a little bit less, you're more sensitive, I guess is the word we're looking for here, right? To those foods, because again, you haven't put it in there for so long, it doesn't have the need to be able to break that down. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Do we have any more?
No, that was all I had.
I have a few, but I'll say them.
Hard.
I can tell.
Sounds good. Let me do an outro. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for everyone for joining the live. We'll catch you guys next week.